everyone. So in this video we'll talk about the week gone by, what happened, and then how the data is looking like, which are the stocks, which are the sectors that are doing extremely well, which had very good closing, and what can we expect from the coming week. Okay, so this is for September 11th to 15th. So if you look at the Nifty closed at an all-time high of 20,192, right? It touched even 2200 as well during the session on Friday. It looks extremely good. Probably a retest can happen, but no signs as of now, because the daily as well as the weekly candle is extremely good. Probably we can move even higher before we come back to retest this breakout. Okay, so that is about Nifty. Then coming to the mid cap index. So on the mid cap index, the candle is not that great. It is more like a bearish candle. A hanging man has been formed, but what I feel is this is more of a consolidation that can happen now, because the data doesn't point at so much distribution. So maybe some consolidation, another 2-3 weeks of sideways movement before we finally move up. Okay, because this is already a bull run that has started, and usually in a bull run you usually have these small consolidation pullback phases before we move back higher. Okay, so as of now the Nifty looks really good. Mid cap index might see some consolidation, and same with the small cap index. So in the bull run, as I have pointed it out here, the last time the small cap index moved up like 3x from 4,000 to 12,000 points. In that you would see that multiple consolidation pullback regions were there. So this might be one of them, even in the previous run, right, from levels of 8,700. If you see, when it hit that 12,000 mark, it had 2 weeks of consolidation before it broke out. So something similar is going to happen now also. Although the data is pretty okay, it is not really strong, suggesting at a rally in the coming week, but it is decent enough, which kind of tells us that stock specific movement should happen in the coming week, although we might not see a new high being made on the small cap index. Okay, and it is not pointing at distribution also. Okay, so nothing to be really scared of, that we are going to fall to much lower levels and things like that. Okay, it is going to be very stock specific. Few stocks are going to do really well, few of them might not do that well. So the best thing is be with the quality names which are doing well, or let's say near the 52-week highs. Okay, so this is about the small cap index. Now if you look at the data for August and September, what happened when that drop happened? The data was extremely good. So even I had tweeted about it, saying that the data looks pretty good, and then we had a bounce back, right? So we did not close lower, we kind of covered 3/4 of whatever we have lost, and we closed very close to the point where it closed last week. So looking at the data is pretty decent enough, although after that particular day the data has cooled off, but nothing to worry about. Okay, so this is about the 3 indices and the data. Now let's look at the each sector and which sector looks good and which are the stocks in that sectors that are doing really well. So if you look at IT, so we had talked about it in the last video also, that IT looks really good for a breakout, and it has broken out. Okay, so IT sector, which was a laggard in the full bull run from, let's say, March end, right? So now it has finally come back to life and doing really well. So something like the big boy Tata TCS, that has also broken out, and looking at it, looks like it can retest its previous highs around that 3,800 mark, right? So TCS looks very good. It is a large cap stock, so if it moves, then definitely Nifty IT is going to perform. And from the smaller basket, so LTTS is something that we had talked about, so this continues to be in stage 2, and the immediate resistance for this stock is somewhere around 5,100, which is again almost 8% away from the current levels, right? So this is how the 2 stocks that look really good from the IT pack. Now coming to autos. So autos, this has again broken out last week itself, and why this is happening, if you have seen the August numbers for auto sectors, they have been excellent, right? Especially the SUV sales have gone through the roof. So autos are going to do really well as we move into festive season. As you know, usually the auto sales see a big surge during the festive season of October, November, where you have Dasara, Deepavali and all of that, right? So before that itself, the big guys are pushing in more money and the auto sector continues to move up. So which are the stocks that are doing really well in the auto sector? Automotive Axle, after going through a consolidation phase, has given a really good weekly closing with a surge in volume. So this looks like it is going to go up and retest the high that it made around that 2600 mark, right? Then one more, which was the darling of a lot of retail investors, is Sonacom. So this one had a pretty bad fall, and then after continuous accumulation, this stock has been doing well and moving up. So even if it crosses that 600 mark and gives you a good closing, we can see even 680 on the charts, as there is resistance around those levels, right? So these two stocks that I have taken. So what I'm doing is basically looking at quality names that are near the resistance or they have just broken out. Okay, so these two stocks, and even something like Bosch, right? A large cap company. If people are inclined towards large cap stocks, then they can look at something like Bosch, which is hitting an all-time high around that 20,000 mark. So this also looks pretty good as the whole auto sector does well, right? So three stocks from the auto sector. Now coming to pharma, after a huge rally, it had some pullback, it retested that breakout, and again it is going up, right? So pharma also looks good. So which are the pharma stocks that are doing well? Suven Pharma finally had a breakout after 3-4 weeks of consolidation on extremely huge volumes. This is after the deal that foreign, I don't exactly remember the name, they have taken over Suven Pharma. They bought the shares from the promoter. So this also looks pretty good, right? And then Glenmark also, after a pullback consolidation, has crossed the previous high and looks pretty good. So most of these API makers look pretty well. I had even made a video saying that the API stock should do really well in the next 1 to 2 years, right? So these two from the API segment should do really well in the coming days. Then looking at the healthcare sector, looks like, even if you look at the news and a lot of stuff, that is, if you read the Economic Times and all, you would see that a lot of money has been pumped into these hospital and the healthcare segment, right? So it has been kind of undervalued, and people are kind of seeing an opportunity there by putting in more money. So even the healthcare index reflects that, right? So after a pullback consolidation, it is set to make a new high. So which are the stocks that are looking good in the healthcare sector? If you look at something like Aster DM, so these guys run hospital diagnostic, all that chain. So those look pretty, I mean, this particular stock looks really well. It kind of is near its 52-week high and is about to break out. The volumes were also extremely good in the previous week. Then you come to Polymed. So Polymed basically makes all these tubes and all of those bags and things like that, which basically the hospitals use, right? So if hospitals are going to do really well, then Polymed should do really well in the coming months and years, right? So these two stocks, Astrium and Polymed, would be look really well on the charts as per the weekly closing. Okay, then finally coming to the Bank Nifty. So Bank Nifty, after 7-8 weeks, right, after we saw a pullback, it is all set to break out to new highs, right? Basically the no resistance zone, and you never know, once that is taken out, it can go up 5%, 10% until the next selling comes in from the big guys. So Bank Nifty is at the resistance point right now. If that is taken out, we can look at additional 5-10% kind of a move in Bank Nifty as well, right? So if Bank Nifty moves, naturally the Nifty is going to go higher, right? So which are the stocks that are looking really well? So to be honest, most of the PSU stocks look extremely good, right? But since we are looking at the Nifty Bank, and it largely has the private banks in them, so which are the private banks that look really well? Axis Bank has broken out into new highs. This looks extremely good. The weekly closing is excellent. So this can retest, but as of now there are no signs of it because the daily candle was also good there. And if you look at ICICI Bank, this has exactly similar chart to the Bank Nifty. It is very close to its all-time high. If that is taken out, then this should move even higher. So looking at all this data, right, all the sectors that are doing well, the coming week should be good for the Indian markets. Although it's a truncated week, we have a holiday on Tuesday for Ganesh Chaturthi. But in the remaining days, we should see pretty decent moves, especially in the sectors and the stocks that look very good. Hopefully, this helps you. See you next weekend. Thank you.